students of class 9. Today we are going to learn in biology the respiratory system and respiratory organs. Respiratory organs are nose, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi and the lungs. The nose. The external part of the nose bears two nostrils separated by a cartilaginous septum. The hairs present in the nostrils prevent large particles from entering the system. The two nostrils open into a pair of nasal chambers, and the inner lining of the nasal chambers perform three functions. It warms the air as it passes over. It adds moisture to the air. Its mucus secretion entraps harmful particles. So always breathe through nose and not through mouth nasal chambers. So that is why it is always better to breathe through the nasal chambers, nostrils. Is that clear? The next organ is respiratory organs, pharynx and larynx. Pharynx. Pharynx is a cone-shaped passageway leading from the oral and nasal cavities in the head to the esophagus and larynx. The pharynx chambers serves both respiratory and digestive functions. Pharynx is situated at the back of the mouth. It is wide cavity. Got it? It's a common passage for both air and food. It leads into an air tube, the trachea or windpipe, and also a food pipe or esophagus. It is located dorsally behind the trachea. Got it? The larynx, commonly called as voice box or glottis, is the passageway of air between the pharynx above the trachea. Below it extends from 4th to 6th verbal levels. It is about 5 centimeters long. It is located at the start of windpipe in the throat. The larynx is divided into 3 sections. It is also called Adam's apple. Got it? The larynx or the voice box is hollow cartilaginous structure located at the start of windpipe. Got it? We can even feel it with the fingers, children. If you tap your finger near the front of your neck, when you swallow or something, this part rises and falls down. Got it? The larynx contains two ligamentous folds called vocal cords. Air expelled forcibly through the vocal cords vibrates them, producing sound. Got it? It is divided into 3 sections: sublarynx, larynx and supralarynx. The trachea. Trachea is also called windpipe. It is cartilaginous tube that connects the larynx to the bronchi of the lungs, allowing the passage of air, and so is present in almost all air-breathing animals with lungs. The trachea extends from the larynx and branches into 2 primary bronchi. Trachea, protective lining of respiratory passage. Trachea. Walls of trachea are strengthened by C-shaped rings of cartilage, the incomplete part of the rings being on the back side. The rings provide flexibility and keep the trachea distended permanently. Got it? If they are not distended, children, each time we'll get that breathing difficulty. Got it? The entire inner lining of the larynx, trachea, bronchioles is formed of ciliated epithelium. During lifetime, the cilia are constantly in motion, driving any fluid mucus that is on them and also any particles that may have come in with the air towards the mouth. Next, moving on to respiratory organs, bronchi. Bronchus is singular, bronchi is plural. Is a passage or airway in the respiratory system that conducts air into the lungs. The first bronchi to branch from the trachea are the right main bronchus and the left main bronchus, also known as the primary bronchi. These are the widest and enter the lungs at each hilum, where they branch into narrower secondary bronchi or lobular bronchi, and these bronchi into narrower tertiary bronchi or segmental bronchi. You can see the picture, children, very clearly there how bronchi are branched. Bronchioles are the subsequent still finer tubes of tertiary bronchi which acquire a diameter of about 1 millimeter and are without cartilage rings. By repeated branching, the bronchioles ultimately end in a cluster of tiny air chambers called the air sacs or alveoli or alveolus. A network of blood capillaries surrounds the walls of each alveolus. The walls of the alveoli are extremely thin, that is 1 cell thick, and moist, thus allowing gaseous diffusion through them. Oxygen from the air first dissolves in this thin layer of water or fluid that covers the surface. Next, moving to the lungs and membranous coverings. The lungs are primary organs of respiratory system in human and many other animals, including a few fish and some snails. Their function in the respiratory system is to extract oxygen from the atmosphere and transfer it into the bloodstream, and to release carbon dioxide from the bloodstream into the atmosphere in the process of gas exchange. The pulmonary pleurae, singular pleura, are the two layers of the invaginated sac surrounding each lung and attaching to the thoracic cavity. That is, lungs are, in your picture, children, in your textbook, page number 140, 14.3 picture, if you see, you can see clearly the arrangement of this pleural membranes. Got it? The two layers of the invaginated sac, that is lung, each lung are attaching to the thoracic cavity. Between them you find two coverings. The visceral pleura is the delicate membrane that covers the surface of each lung and dips into the fissures between the lobes of the lungs. The parietal pleura is the outer membrane which is attached to the inner surface of thoracic cavity. It also separates the pleural cavity from the mediastinum. The parietal pleura is innervated by the intercostal nerves and phrenic nerves. Got it? So the entire thing is covered by the ciliated epithelium, children. These are the 2 points and 2 membranes, that is visceral pleura and the parietal pleura. In between there is a watery fluid called pleural fluid. Got it? In the pleural cavity found between 2 membranes. The arrangement provides, that is pleural fluid, provides lubrication for free movement and expanding and contraction of the lungs, because you know in breathing constant contraction takes place. The lungs occupy greater part of thoracic cavity. They are located close to the inner surface of thoracic wall and their lower bases closely rest on the diaphragm. How blood is supplied to the lungs we are going to learn now. After blood fills the right ventricle, it contracts and pumps the blood through the pulmonary valve and into the pulmonary arteries. There are 2 pulmonary arteries that bring the deoxygenated blood to the lungs through the ileum. Got it? The arteries branch into the capillaries of the alveoli. Now we are going to see the blood supply, how in that heart. See that heart, AO is aorta, children. Right atrium, RA. RV is right ventricle. LV is left ventricle. LA is left auricle. In PA is pulmonary artery. Got it? The others they are given, that is superior vena cava, two lungs, like that. The two lungs, like that, arrow marks are given. The right auricle pumps all the deoxygenated blood received in it from the body into the right ventricle, which in turn pumps it into the lungs through the main pulmonary artery. The pulmonary artery, soon after its emergence, divides into two branches entering their respective lungs, that is right and left. Inside the lungs, they divide and redivide several times to ultimately form capillaries around the air sacs. Veins arising from these capillaries join and rejoin to form two main pulmonary veins from each lung, which pour the oxygenated blood into the left auricle of the heart. Got it? The blood circulation in the lungs, now you understood. The bright red parts, no children, they represent the oxygenated blood, and the bluish parts there, no, they represent deoxygenated blood. Got it? Now you understood that picture, what it is. We are going to learn introduction to breathing respiratory circle. The air which we breathe in and out of the lungs varies in its pressure. So basically, when there is a fall in air pressure, the alveolar spaces fall and the air enters the lung. And as the pressure of the alveoli within exceeds the atmospheric pressure, the air is blown from lungs. The flow rate of air is in proportion to the magnitude of the pressure difference. The breathing mechanism involves two processes, namely inspiration and expiration. The respiratory cycle, it is called. What is, children? The respiratory cycle consists of inspiration and expiration, and there is a very short respiratory pause. In normal adults, the breathing rate is 12 to 18 breaths per minute. A newborn breathes 60 times per minute. Slight increase in the carbon dioxide content in blood increases the breathing rate. That is why when we go into a smoke or in a very dusty places or where a lot of pollution, vehicle movement, we'll get that breathing rate will increase. Got it, children? During inspiration, there is an increase in volume of the thoracic area. The diaphragm becomes flattened and there is relaxation of the intercostal muscles. This allows the increase in thoracic cavity and allows lung to expand and take the air inside. Got it? Actually, inspiration, children, it is also called as inhalation. It's the result of increase in the size of thoracic cavity. That is what I have spoken now. This is increased to combined actions of the rib and also the diaphragm. The ribs move upwards and outwards due to the contraction of the external costal and internal costal muscles stretched between them, thus enlarging the chest cavity all around. That is, these are internal intercostal muscles when they are relaxed. Got it? Diaphragm, a sheet of muscular tissue. Diaphragm is present just below the lungs, children. Diaphragm, a sheet of muscular tissue situated towards the base of the lungs, which normally remains arched upward like a dome, contracts and flattens from the dome-shaped outline to an almost horizontal. See, you can see the diaphragm contracts, move down is given in the picture. Horizontal plane, and thus contributes to the enlargement of the chest cavity lengthwise. As the diaphragm flattens, it passes the organs inside the abdomen, and with the abdominal muscles relaxed, the abdominal wall moves outwards, leading to increase in the volume of chest cavity, decrease of pressure. Decreased pressure inside the lungs draws the air inside. The outside air, being at a greater pressure, rushes in to equalize the pressure. Now we'll see exhalation or expiration, how it will take place. In brief, exhalation is the flow of the breathe out of an organism. In animals, it is the movement of air from the lungs out of the airways to the external environment during breathing. Expiration is the process of letting air out of the lungs during the breathing cycle. During expiration, the relaxation of the diaphragm and elastic recoil of the tissues decreases the thoracic volume and increases the intra-alveolar pressure. Expiration pushes air out of the lungs. Got it? As a result, the reverse of the movement of the ribs of the diaphragm takes place. The external and intercostal muscles relax and the ribs move in automatically. They go in. The diaphragm is relaxed and move upwards to its dome-like outline. As a consequence, the intercostal movements of the ribs and the diaphragm, the volume of the thoracic cavity decreased and the lungs are compressed, forcing the air out into the atmosphere. Got it? When we breathe out forcibly or naturally as it happens during intense physical exercise, the internal intercostal muscles also contract, causing further contraction of the rib cage to expel out more air for larger intake of oxygen. Got it? Tissue or internal respiration, the process by which cells of body use the oxygen to oxidize the food and release energy. The carbon dioxide formed as a waste product of breakdown of glucose molecule is sent out in expiration. Got it? That is during expiration, tissue or internal respiration takes place. Got it, children? That is breathing movements in human. We are going to learn in a tabular column, children. You can learn that in page number 143 in the textbook. Next, we are moving to the control of breathing movement. The breathing movements are largely controlled by the respiratory center located in the brain, that is in the medulla oblongata. Medulla oblongata is the one of the part of the brain. You have learned that in your... come on, tell me all the three parts of the brain. Yes. Correct. What are they? Midbrain, hindbrain and forebrain. That is medulla oblongata. You are going to learn now. This center is situated by carbon dioxide content of the blood. More the carbon dioxide content in the blood, faster is the breathing. The breathing movements are normally not under the control of the will. They are involuntary, but to some extent, one can consciously increase or decrease the rate and extent of breathing. Got it? If you forcibly hold, or stage would come when you cannot hold it any longer. That is why nose we cannot close for a long time. Is that clear? Now we are moving to capacities of the lungs. Got it? Capacities of the lungs are respiratory volumes in a normal human adult. Got it? They are called capacities of lungs. Tidal volume. Air breathed out in and out in a normal, quiet breathing. Got it? 500 ml. Dead air space. Some tidal air is left in respiratory passage such as trachea, bronchi, where no diffusion of gases can occur. That is 150 ml. Alveolar air. The tidal air contained in the air sacs 350 ml. Children, now today's pandemic situation, these capacities of lungs are very, very important. Got it? Pulse oximeter, they will check the oxygen levels. All this by this capacity, by this measurements. These are normal measurements. If anything varies, no children, they consider as sickness. Inspiratory reserve volume, air that can be drawn in forcibly over and above the tidal air, and it is also called complemental air, 3000 ml. Inspiratory capacity, total volume of the air a person can breathe in after normal expiration, 3500 ml. That is 500 ml plus 150 ml plus 350 ml. Got it? Total is 3000 ml plus 500 ml. Expiratory reserve volume. Air that can be forcibly expelled out after normal expiration, also called as supplemental air. That is 1000 ml. Vital capacity. The volume of air that can be expelled out by the maximum inspiration and expiration is equal to 4500 ml. Residual volume. Some air is always left in the lungs even after forcible breathing. This is the leftover residual air. Got it? That is 350 plus 150, that is 500 ml, and inspiratory reserve is 3000 ml. Totally it becomes 3500, and expiratory reserve volume is 1000. Total that becomes 4500, and already we'll have residual volume in the lung, that is 1500. So total lung capacity can be called as 6000 ml. Total lung capacity is maximum air which can at any time be held into the lungs is 6000 ml. Got it? These are called respiratory volumes. Now we are going to learn about inspired air versus expired air. The air inside the lung is never replaceable. It is always a mixture of the air left inside and in the air inspired. Quality wise, the expired air differs from inspired air in the following respect. It contains less oxygen, it contains more carbon dioxide, it contains more water vapor, it is warmer or at the same temperature as that of the body. It may contain some bacteria. Effect of altitude on breathing. That is how we, when we go up, climb, all that. Got it, children? Got it? Effect of altitudes. As we go higher up, the air we breathe in the decreases in pressure, accompanied by gradual decrease in oxygen content. At about 4500 meters above the sea level, one may suffer from air sickness, in which lack of oxygen leads to dizziness, unsteady vision, a loss of hearing, a lack of muscular coordination, and even complete blockouts. Got it? Like that, we have two conditions. Hypoxia is a condition where not enough oxygen makes it to the cells and tissues in the body. This can happen even though blood flow is normal. There is one more condition called asphyxia. Asphyxia is the condition where the body either does not get enough oxygen to continue normal function, has too much carbon dioxide to function properly without adequate oxygen. Nerve cells in the brain begin to die in about 2 to 4 minutes, and cell death is irreversible. Got it? In the hypoxia condition, children. Got it? These are the two conditions, hypoxia and asphyxiation. Condition in which blood becomes more venous by accumulation of more carbon dioxide and the oxygen supply diminished. Got it? Usually it occurs during strangulation, that is hanging, drowning, or any obstruction in the respiratory tract. Death follows if the case is taken care of quickly. Artificial respiration is helpful in these cases. Is that clear? Thank you, children.